Hey guys, Rinji here. Once again, bringing the worst out of the VTuber community. And as I say time and time again, VTuber drama is a thing that's cyclical. It happens from one topic to the other, and it always circles back on the same issues time and time again. I've been covering VTuber drama for the last few years, and it always goes back to the same things. What those things are, I explained in detail in all of my quote-unquote online career, so I won't bore you too much with the details, but suffice to say, one of these topics got resurrected once again due to the Streamer Awards, about which I already did a video, and it being a complete and total joke you probably might expect from a California click-based established award show. But again, that's for that video for you guys to watch if you want to. If you want more details on that one. It's not that much of it, but you know, it is what it is. What I wanted to talk about today, and the topic that got dug up from the grave, is gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is a very wide and nebulous term in terms of online cultural discourse. But I will go over it part by part. I will not do much of my usual forte when it comes to these videos, and that is my specialization in reading tweets. Today, I'm getting on a soapbox and I'm ranting almost all the way through. So I hope you enjoy that, and if you don't, then you can click off. So, well, I wanted to start with this type of thing, this gatekeeping discourse. Let's go back into the past, because the past here is important to explain the nature of gatekeeping, why it has been a focus of a lot of people's discussions, and why do people are so against it, and why are so many people that are actually for it as well. It's certainly a controversial topic to have. As you guys know, I'm a person of old age, a senior citizen by internet standards, and I experienced a lot of things when it comes to online culture over the past, well, how many decades is it gonna be now? It's gonna be almost 3 decades now when it comes to me being online, at least not terminally so, as so many other subjects of my videos are. But again, I experienced a lot in my life, and I've seen a lot of it come and go. One of these things is the shift in how nerd culture has been perceived. Back in the day, when I used to participate, well, when I took my first steps into nerd culture and later on anime culture, I've seen how people were treated. And even before that, I managed to see from other pop culture sources how nerds used to be treated. Being a nerd wasn't cool. It wasn't trendy. It wasn't something to aspire to. Nerds were the dirt under your fingernails. They were ostracized for their weird behavior, for their weird interests, and a lot of the time for their weird looks, because nerds used to look certain ways and they used to, you know, dress certain ways too. Of course, that's all a stereotype, but a lot of people cater to those stereotypes. Stereotypes exist for a reason, you know? So these people were essentially weird, quote unquote, and a lot of the society, a lot of communities that they were part of, and they didn't actually like them all that much, and bullying happened. They were being ostracized left and right by their peers, usually in schools. And what do those nerds do? What do those future anime enjoyers do? Well, they banded together and they started their own little communities with like-minded people that used to enjoy their interests. And you may be wondering, well, how did that happen? Well, before there used to be clubs, before the internet, that is, there used to be clubs. People got together in those clubs and enjoyed one another's interests and essentially had a lot of fun with that. When the internet came about, when internet started to reach into people's households, people started getting on dial-up and such. People found discussion boards, they found BBSs. Yes, BBSs used to be a thing of specific interests. You had BBSs for automotive nerds, you had military nerds, and of course you had anime and anime and Japan culture nerds, what was later dubbed as otaku, a term that people don't understand too much these days. They don't really know what otaku is. Otaku used to be someone with a very heavy, well, at least as the Japanese term is concerned, otaku used to be someone that had a very specific interest and an obsession with it. You could be a train otaku, someone that's obsessed with trains, or you could be a ornithologist otaku. You really, really like those fucking birds. But of course, otaku, as is understood by Westerners, as is understood by us, is an anime nerd that just really likes that anime, Japan, and later on that term also developed into weeb. I was a complete Japanophile that liked all aspects of Japanese culture and thought them to be superior to other cultures as well. And those people congregated online. They started to form their little communities. They weren't limited by distance anymore. They weren't limited by their hometowns, their home cities. They could find friends and people of similar interests very easily just by going online. And as the internet got faster, reaching out to other people and getting into your hobbies, like downloading anime, downloading games, all that fun stuff, it became much, much easier, and the culture around that developed. People moved on from BBSs, people got into forums, and later on, even before centralized social media, places like Twitter, people used to go into forums or image boards and discuss their favorite interests there. There used to be specific anime forums like Anime Ski. I was part of that one for a very long time. Really enjoyed my time there. There were specific forums for fan subgroups as well, like places like the Kaizoku fan subs forum where people were discussing One Piece. Yes, those were the days where people congregated on forums like that. And of course there were places like image boards. I'm talking here 4chan's anime board called A. People used to have anime watch-alongs there. People used to discuss anime in all kinds of ways. And if there was any conflict on any of these places, whether it be on the forums or be on the image boards, it usually was in jest and all of it was in good fun. Not a lot of it was too serious, and people didn't mold and get upset for many hours as they used to do nowadays. And it was all generally a pretty good time. I know I'm kind of telling you about my personal experience with all of this, and it may seem like I have the perspective that's rose-tainted. Have these very fashionable glasses on, and you may think that like everything used to be so good, and what's here nowadays is just, it's not comparable. It just sucks. Well, in parts that is true, and in other parts it's not true. There's always nuance to everything, especially when you're biased like me when it comes to that sort of stuff. But at the same time, I would think myself a critical thinker, and I like to, I think, objectively describe all of these things. I like to muse over different points of view, and I like to analyze them, whether they hold water or not. And that's how I'm connected to all of these cultures. So as far as I'm concerned, how it used to be was pretty fun. There was mutual enjoyment, not that much infighting within communities, and if there was any conflict, it was very quickly solved. Like if someone came in and was disruptive in a community, they were quickly kicked out. Like, people used to be able to gatekeep. Yes, that's this word. It's coming up. This word is coming up, and it's coming up fast. People used to gatekeep very well, and they used to protect their own little small communities from outsiders that didn't understand them, and just tried to stir up trouble within those communities, while trying to change them from the inside. But those people were quickly gone because they weren't tolerated. They shouldn't have been tolerated. But times change, unfortunately, as we all know. History goes and records these types of events, and we just have to keep up with it, because otherwise we're gonna be lost, and we just lose our sense of selves, and we'll lose enjoyment of life in general. I know that sounds pretty heavy, but that's pretty much how it is. And as you probably expected, VTubing came along. 2017, Kizuna Ai happened. The 4 great VTubers happened at the same time. And of course, anime nerds, otaku, jumped from one medium to the other. Not being satisfied with anime anymore, they decided to experience something different, and that is anime girls playing video games, talking about their interests, singing, dancing on your screen for your enjoyment. Pretty fun times ahead. It was novel, it was fun, and people enjoyed that entertainment coming from Japan. I would say from 2017, like 2019, those are the golden days of Japanese VTubing, when it comes to the medium establishing itself and people just getting on board with it. Things used to be quite a lot more peaceful. There wasn't that much drama, especially from the Western side of things, because the Western side wasn't all that well established in those years. But it grew significantly after like 2019 into 2020. Things have been established. There was an aesthetic to it. People started to associate VTubing, VTubers with the anime aesthetic, of course, and most VTubers back in those days adopted that type of aesthetic, of course. And there were rare chances that you found a VTuber that looked different and was outside that sort of aesthetic as well. But again, those were the good days. But after that, things changed. Things changed dramatically. It was a gradual change, but it happened anyway. People have started to notice that VTubing is becoming bigger. People from the outside of VTubing. Sometimes people that didn't have that much interest in anime or anything connected to Japanese otaku culture, just didn't have any sort of interest in any of that. Apart from those people, there were also those that saw that VTubers were a quick way to earn money, to establish oneself, get a career just by online streaming, video production, what have you, creating music, that sort of stuff. And they decided to get on board because they thought it's gonna be quick and easy. Everyone else is doing, and their rise in popularity is meteoric. They see people growing left and right, and they think to themselves, I can do that too. That seems pretty easy. Lo and behold, it wasn't easy at all. And a lot of these people came in and they got disillusioned very, very fast. Here I have to bring up people like the eternal pre-debuts, people that I have covered many, many times before on my channel as well as on my social media. People that thought that they're gonna have, that they're gonna establish themselves first on social media without any kind of content creation. These people nowadays we call VTweeters, because that's the only thing that they do. They just tweet incessantly every single day without doing any kind of streaming, without doing any kind of video production or anything else. They just do that all day. And the same people, those eternal pre-debuts, later on evolved into what we consider tourists, people outside of it that make sure that you know that they don't really belong in anything. And these sorts of people decided to change the landscape of everything. And how did they do that? Because they wanted to water down what it means to be a VTuber and what actually belongs in VTubing itself. How did they do that? Well, first they started saying you don't really need to make videos in order to be a VTuber. You don't need to stream in order to be a VTuber. And later on, you don't even need to have a proper model to be a VTuber. Just slap on a PNG that doesn't even move most of the time. You're still a VTuber. You still have an avatar that's supposed to be representative of you. And after that, they even tried to establish that being a VTuber is okay, that the content that you produce on social media is somehow valuable and it contributes to the wider medium of VTubing. So these people that just get into fights online, that tweet 24/7, these are also VTubers, at least in their own minds. That's how these people have been establishing themselves over the years. And what's worse, the same people that try to tell you what a VTuber is and and watered down the term into nothingness, the same people decided to start gatekeeping. Yes, those people started to try gatekeeping others from what a VTuber can actually be. They told you what belongs and doesn't belong in the so-called quote-unquote VTuber community. And what did they mold on? Well, first of all, they molded about models. Your model was too petite. It looked too much like a lolly. You're pedo baiting. You're a not so secretive pedophile. And you need to be kicked out of the so-called VTuber community. Specific uses of technology, especially later on with the coming of AI. That's a different kind of topic. Specific uses of technology were frowned upon. Whether your model was able to do specific things or not, these sort of things were also problematic. Whether your model looks a certain way, apart from the lolly discourse, is your model too dark-skinned and you are actually a white person behind the avatar? Those sorts of discussions were prevalent back in the day. Or maybe you're using a white model but you're black underneath. People used to have drama over all sorts of shit, and I covered it extensively during the last few years, so I'm not gonna be getting to details on all of those, but you pretty much know what I mean. If you're in the VTubing scene, if you've been online, if you've been on social media, you know what I'm talking about here. And the constant fighting with other content creators over essentially nothing. Copying, like accusations of copying, stealing art, stealing assets, what have you, cheating, personal relationship drama, followed by Twitlongers. Twitlonger doesn't exist anymore, which was followed up by Google Docs. The so-called Google Docies came along. It's all so tiresome, so tiresome. But that's the nature of the invasion from tourists that have established themselves in the VTubing quote-unquote community. And this is how they act. First, they come in, they have no respect or knowledge of an already established culture within a subculture, and they try to change it from within because they do not like it. They think it should be looking quite a lot different than what it looks like. They don't like thing and they need to change thing. You do not fit in here, you try to make your own place, and the same people follow you along and ask you why you're excluding them. You say, oh no, and then they force themselves into your community, into your small subculture, and try to kick you out because you don't fit the mold. You just you're just unwanted existence in their lives, and it sucks, and it sucks pretty bad, unfortunately. But that's the nature of how it came to be, and that's how it is. But for all of the things that I have said so far, I didn't really talk all too much about gatekeeping and what has been happening these past few years, and what has been resurrected in the last few days ever since as a certain quote-unquote VTuber has won the streamer awards. So you may be probably asking yourself, well, what is gatekeeping as a term? I'll explain it as if I'm a white YouTube essayist. That's probably the best way to describe it. Well, gatekeeping, the activity of controlling access to something, the action of discouraging or criticizing others' participation in our enjoyment of shared activity or interest. That's the sort of gatekeeping I've been talking about, and I will be talking about going forward. And posts like this have been established, have been made by many people in light of the Burnt Peanuts VTuber of the Year award during the Streamer Awards. Let me read that real quick, and then I'm gonna discuss it and dismantle a lot of that. And I already pretty much dismantled parts of it by my previous rant. Tim, the Vita Ramen founder, says there's a lot of people wanting to gatekeep VTubing the comments. They're afraid of things changing. You can't do that by gatekeeping and being afraid. You do it through kindness, openness, and actively teaching people and guiding them. Gatekeeping, conversely, is what creates change in the ways people hate. By making it exclusive, by creating pockets where it's difficult to learn and understand despite wanting to. People end up creating their own interpretations and cultures. If you're kind, open, inviting, and teach people, then they learn why you cherish the things you do in the ways that you do, instead of being forced to come up with their own interpretations. Don't gatekeep VTubing. Be kind and inviting, and make it easy for people to fall in love with VTubers in the same way that you have. Instead, that's how you keep VTuber culture strong. It's a very idealized way of seeing things, because the people that were meant to be taught with kindness, that were meant to experience the glory that is VTubing, these are the people that do not want to learn. They are invaders into this subspace. They want to change it from the inside because what they see, they do not like it. And no matter how much you try to teach them with the so-called kindness, no matter how open you try to be with them, they will not accept you. They will not accept what you're trying to sell to them because they inherently do not like it due to some preconceived notions, ignorance, incompetence, what have you, whatever it is. They will simply not accept it the way it is until it's changed in the way that it benefits them, whether it's financially, morally, or in any other way. This openness just doesn't really work. You're trying to essentially pat invaders, pat vandals on the back as they rip everything apart, as they try to bulldoze through your cities, as they try to take down everything that you know and love. They have no respect for the culture that they're trying to be a part of. They have no knowledge of the culture they're trying to be a part of. And their own interpretation of what VTubing is something that they force upon other people. VTubing, as I was saying before, established itself on certain things. It's part idol culture, it's part anime enjoyers, it's otaku culture, it's all of these things combined into one thing. And the people that try to come in and tell you that you do not belong in the community that you yourself helped to establish, those are the tourists. Those are the people that you need to keep out. That's why gatekeeping is a thing that I'm for, but not on the scale that you think. I do not think gatekeeping on the biggest scale is possible, like whatsoever, because there's simply no way to gatekeep something that has become so massive and so popular. But there is ways to gatekeep, and I will get into that a little bit later. Because gatekeeping works, but it needs to work on a much smaller scale where you can handle it on a personal level almost. So let's continue. Isn't it a good thing that there are more people who share the same interest with you? No, because they enjoy it in the wrong way for the wrong reasons. Pretty much what I told you. This is a 4chan post from 2017 that's pretty much evergreen. It's always apt and it's always fitting situations where subcultures are invaded by people who want to change them from the inside. And then we have a problem like this. A problem of appealing to a wider audience that simply either ignores you, hates you, or wants you gone. VTuber awards, the streamer awards in general is a good example of that. The disdain, the ignorance of the people in charge of those awards, the lack of respect for anything that's related to VTubing was palpable. And it's palpable, has been palpable for the last few years as long as these awards have existed. The mainstream Twitch culture, because that's where those awards pretty much come from the mainstream Twitch culture of streamers, it's not compatible with VTubing and what VTubing has become. Even the current state of VTubing is not compatible with it. And the problem here is as follows. Trying to appeal to these people that generally hate you, that think of you as the worst, that think of you as one pedophile, gooner bait, anime bot, an obese man with a voice changer, people making arguments like that. These are the people that hate you. And you're trying to appeal to them in order to seek some sort of acceptance. That's ridiculous. Like, here Iron Mouse said this about Peanut's victory for the VTuber of the Year award. Me cringing at all people that mad that Peanut won. Every VTuber in the category deserved to be there. Sure, but even Peanut himself doesn't consider himself a VTuber, doesn't know anything about VTubing culture, yet was allowed to participate and to be nominated because fans nominated them in. Anyone could be nominated as long as they met some sort of, very non-strict category when it comes to that sort of thing. And it's a problem because, as I was saying, VTubing, or what a VTuber is, has been so watered down that even a person like Peanut, even a glorified annoying orange thing with a Snapchat filter, can be a VTuber, and they can win because fans voted them in, and the fans themselves have disdain for VTubers. They think the things that I already mentioned about VTubers. They think of them as some sort of weird degenerate perversion most of the time, and make up very weird ignorant arguments of what VTubers are and what they're supposed to be. Everything clears VTubers. That's what these people think. And trying to cater to these people that come from these sorts of communities, that come from that sort of established Twitch streamer culture, this is like suicidal. It's like imagine a master and a slave relationship. Like the master uses you, makes fun of you, and essentially slaps you around, and you're supposed to bend down and just to receive it. And you're supposed to be thankful for being treated like shit by your so-called superior, a person that thinks that they are superior to you. You're supposed to bow down to them and just take it. Just take it up the A and enjoy it because that's what you deserve, because you're a weird, degenerate weebo or otaku lord, whatever. That's what you're supposed to be enjoying from these people. And it's just completely backwards. Why is it backwards? Because it makes no sense. It makes no sense, and as I was saying, it's suicidal. Why do you, a participant in VTubing, want to cater to the mainstream that hates you? Do you not see that these people will never understand you, and no matter how kind, no matter how accepting you try to be to them, they always see you as weird because the internet is full of vitriol and ignorance. This is where the worst of the worst come to congregate. That's the current nature of the internet. And trying to cater to this mainstream fakeness, to these people that are, dime a dozen nepo celebrities that will be forgotten in the next few years. You want to cater to that all for like a drop of clout from these people? Don't you have any dignity? Don't you have any honor? Wouldn't you rather, cater to your own community, build your own little subculture of people that like you, your own fan base, and just cater to them, have some loyalty to them, build something of your own without trying to appeal to some weird mass market that's completely retarded? Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? It's insane. And as I was saying, it's like the first step towards the coffin. You're just gonna hammer yourself down with those nails. Just gonna enter it, and you're gonna close it from the inside. And that's how it's gonna be. And that's how you're gonna end up. So just don't do that. And as I was saying, I will explain how you can gatekeep, and how you can gatekeep effectively via building your own community, your own fan base. This is where the gatekeeping should happen. You establish your own streaming culture within your own fan base. You build your fan base. You build your own niche of people that like you, of like-minded people that like you for you. And you are kind to these people, you support these people, and you receive support back. It's all mutual and it's all symbiotic. And that's how you do it. And if someone tries to tell you what to do, someone outside of your community tries to come in and tell you how to do things, insults you, calls you names, thinks you should change your content to cater to them, that's when you gatekeep. That's when you use your tools. When you use your online tools to remove them. You can ban them, you can make fun of them, you can make them feel unwelcome because they are unwelcome, and that's how you're supposed to gatekeep effectively. On a local level, within your own community, because the mainstream is already established and it's beyond saving. Mainstream VTubing is beyond saving. The only thing you can do is try to maintain your own community with its own sense of self and try to be the best streamer, the best content creator possible for your fans. And that's my 5 cents on all of this. I enjoyed this soapbox, and I hope some of you that can get past, the ranting sort of nature of my commentary know that I am right about this sort of thing. And if you try to be a content creator at any point in time, you will know that this is true, and you will be able to have a happy life online without engaging in any of these bullshit, because no one should be dealing with that sort of stuff on the daily. It's just insanity. It's self-imposed insanity for a lot of these people, and it's completely self-defeating. But for right now, that's everything, and I hope to see you on the next one.